The space station was huge. Jake Harrison had never seen anything like it before. The walls were smooth and blue, made of metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Strange creatures walked past him in the hallways. Some had fur. Others had scales. A few had wings or extra arms. Jake looked down at his clothes. He wore a simple black suit with a white shirt and a black tie. His shoes were black leather, polished until they shined. He carried a small briefcase in his left hand. This was what humans wore to important meetings. But as he walked through the station, he noticed the aliens staring at him. Two tall creatures with purple skin pointed at Jake and whispered to each other. They had long necks and 4 arms each. Jake could not understand their language, but their tone sounded like they were making fun of something. The Galactic Trade Summit was happening in the biggest room on the station. Jake had never been to anything like this before. Earth was new to space travel. Only 5 years ago, humans thought they were alone in the universe. Now they were trying to make friends with hundreds of different alien races. Jake walked into the meeting hall. The room was so big he could barely see the other end. Thousands of aliens sat in rows of chairs. Each group of aliens had their own section. Some aliens glowed with bright colors. Others were covered in metal armor. A few floated in the air without touching the ground. At the front of the room was a stage where the most important aliens sat. They wore fancy clothes covered in jewels and gold. Some had crowns on their heads. Others had machines attached to their bodies that blinked with lights. A robot showed Jake to the human section. It was very small compared to the other areas. Only about 20 seats. Most of them were empty. Earth had only sent a few people to the summit. Jake was the main representative. The others were helpers and guards. As Jake sat down, a loud voice filled the room. Look at the human. The voice belonged to a creature that looked like a giant lizard walking on 2 legs. It had 4 arms and sharp teeth. What is that strange covering on its body? Other aliens turned to look at Jake. They started making sounds that might have been laughter. Jake felt his face get warm, but he kept his expression calm. He had been trained for this. Stay quiet. Do not react. The lizard creature stood up. Jake knew from his notes that this was Kex-Thu, the ambassador from the Zephyrian Empire. They controlled most of the crystal trade in this part of space. The human wraps itself in dead plant matter. Kex-Thu said loudly. How strange. How? Backward. Do they not know that smart species do not need to cover their bodies with such things? More aliens joined in the laughter. A creature that looked like a floating jellyfish with tentacles spoke up. Maybe the human is cold? Maybe their kind is too weak to live without fake skin? Jake took out his notebook and wrote down exactly what each alien said. Every insult, every joke. He would remember all of it. Another alien stood up. This one looked like a giant spider with a human face where the spider's head should be. I'm Quinder of the Vorthan Collective, it said. We have studied human ways. They call these coverings suits. They think it makes them look important. The spider creature made a clicking sound that might have been laughing. How silly. The floating jellyfish moved closer to Jake's area. My people have been traveling space for 10,000 years. We have never seen anything so funny. Does the human not know how stupid it looks? Jake kept writing. He saw that cameras were recording everything. Good. All of this would be saved. The worst comments came from a creature that looked like a walking tree with eyes on its trunk. Its name was Zalvex. It spoke for something called the hegemony. They controlled many star systems and thought they were very powerful. This is exactly why Earth should stay away from the rest of us, Zalvex said. Its voice sounded like wind blowing through leaves. Any species that still needs to wear fake fur is clearly not ready for space civilization. They should stay on their little planet until they grow up and stop acting like children. The whole room exploded with laughter. Jake felt hundreds of eyes looking at him. Some aliens were taking pictures. Others were making videos. He was becoming a joke that would be shared across the galaxy. But Jake did not stand up. He did not shout back. He did not try to defend himself. Instead, he kept writing. He recorded every word, every insult, every suggestion that humans were too primitive for space. The summit went on for 3 days. Jake attended every meeting. He listened to every discussion. And the whole time, the aliens kept making jokes about his suit. They wondered why humans were so ashamed of their bodies that they had to cover them up. They suggested that maybe humans were sick or deformed. On the last day, the trade agreements were announced. Earth was left out of 3 big deals. The crystal trade went to the Zephyrians. The spice shipping routes were given to the Vorthans. The energy distribution network was controlled by the hegemony. Maybe when humans learn to dress like civilized beings, they can join the rest of us, Caxthul announced. The room filled with laughter again. Jake packed his briefcase. He had filled 3 notebooks with detailed notes. As he got ready to leave, several aliens came over to him. They wanted to take more pictures of the primitive human in the funny costume. Jake smiled politely and let them take their photos. Let them have their fun. Let them think they had won. As he got on the transport ship back to Earth, Jake made one phone call. The person who answered was Admiral Chris Parker, head of Earth's space military. How did it go? Parker asked. Jake looked out the window at the space station getting smaller behind them. Perfect. They think we are primitive idiots who wear clothes because we are ashamed of our bodies. And the trade deals? They kept us out of all the important ones, just like we expected. They think Earth is too backward to compete with them. Parker was quiet for a moment. Are you sure about this plan, Jake? Once we start, we cannot stop. Jake thought about the laughter, the insults, the way they had treated humans like children, who did not understand the real world. I am sure. Give the order for Protocol 7. Protocol 7 is approved, Parker said. Jake ended the call and sat back in his chair. The aliens thought they had embarrassed Earth. They thought they had shown humans their place. They had no idea what they had just started. The ship jumped to light speed, carrying Jake back to Earth. Behind him, the aliens continued their meeting, happy that they had kept the primitive humans away from their important business. They did not know that their jokes had just started a war that would change everything. 3 weeks after the summit, Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of her cargo ship. The ship was called the New Horizon. It looked like any other Earth trading vessel. Simple metal hull, basic engines. Nothing fancy about it, but looks could lie. Lisa watched her crew get ready for the jump to the Kepler system. The Kepler system belonged to the Zephyrians, the same aliens who had laughed at Jake Harrison's suit. They had been mining crystals there for thousands of years. They thought they owned the place. Captain, we are ready to jump, said her pilot, Tony Chun. Take us out, Lisa said. The New Horizon jumped to light speed. The trip should have taken 4 days. That was what all the maps said. That was what the Zephyrians expected. The New Horizon made the trip in 2 days. When Lisa's ship came out of light speed near Kepler Prime, the Zephyrian traffic control was confused. Unknown ship, tell us who you are, came the radio message. You are not supposed to arrive for 2 more days. Lisa smiled. This is Captain Martinez of the Earthship New Horizon. We are here to trade. There was a long pause. Earthship? That is not possible. Humans do not have ships that can reach this system so fast. Well, we are here, Lisa said. We want to buy some crystals. The Zephyrians were suspicious, but they also wanted to make money. Earth had gold and other valuable things. So they let the New Horizon dock at their trading station. When Lisa met with the Zephyrian traders, they were still confused. "How did you get here so fast?" asked the main trader, a creature named Vexcar. "We took a shortcut," Lisa said. "What? Shortcut? There are no shortcuts to this system." Lisa just shrugged. "We found one." The Zephyrians did not believe her, but they wanted to sell their crystals. So they showed Lisa their best products. The crystals were beautiful, blue and green and purple. They glowed with their own light. "These crystals are very rare," Vexcar explained. "Very expensive. They power most of the starships in this area. One crystal costs 50,000 credits." Lisa looked at the crystals carefully. "They are nice," she said, "but we can give you something better." She opened her briefcase and took out a small device. It was about the same size as a crystal, but it was made of metal and plastic. It did not glow. "This is a human energy cell," Lisa explained. "It makes 3 times more power than your crystals. It lasts 10 times longer, and it costs half as much." The Zephyrians laughed. "Not possible. Your backward technology cannot be better than our crystals. Want to test it?" Lisa asked. The test was simple. They connected both power sources to the same machine. The human energy cell immediately made more power. It ran longer. It was better in every way. The Zephyrians were shocked. "This cannot be. Your people are too primitive for such technology." "Maybe not," Lisa said calmly. News spread quickly through the Zephyrian trade network. The primitive humans had technology that was better than theirs. Much better got at the same time, in the Vorthan system, another human ship was causing trouble. Captain Amy Rodriguez commanded a ship called the Star Runner. The Vorthans controlled the spice trade in their area. They had been doing it for hundreds of years. The spice routes were dangerous. Ships had to fly through asteroid fields and radiation storms. Most species could not make the trip safely. That was why the Vorthans could charge such high prices, but Amy's ship made the trip look easy. The Star Runner flew through asteroid fields like they were empty space. It passed through radiation storms without any damage. What should have been a dangerous 2-week trip took Amy only 5 days. The Vorthans were angry. "This is not possible," said their trade minister, Quinmer. "No ship can travel those routes so fast." "We just did," Amy said. "Your ships are too primitive." "They should have been destroyed," Amy smiled. "Maybe your information is wrong. The humans were not just faster. They were cheaper too. The Vorthans charged high prices because the routes were dangerous. But if the routes were not dangerous for human ships, then humans could charge lower prices. Soon, Vorthan customers were switching to human traders. Why pay high prices for slow, dangerous delivery when humans could do it faster and cheaper? In the hegemony systems, similar problems were starting. The hegemony controlled energy supply across 12 star systems. They had huge fusion reactors that powered whole planets, but human ships were arriving with portable fusion machines that were smaller, better, and cleaner than anything the hegemony had. A human generator the size of a car could power a small city. The hegemony leaders were panicking. "How is this possible?" asked their supreme commander, Zalthun. "Humans are supposed to be primitive. They wear clothes because they are ashamed of their bodies." But the proof was clear. Human technology was not primitive. It was advanced. Very advanced. Back on Earth, Admiral Chris Parker sat in his office reading reports from across the galaxy. Every human ship was doing better than expected. Every human trader was beating the competition. "Sir," said his helper, Lieutenant Colonel Dan Foster, "we are getting reports from all areas." "The aliens are starting to panic," Parker nodded. "Good. What about the money side?" Dr. Ben Taylor, says we have taken about 15% of the crystal trade in just 3 weeks. The Zephyrians are starting to lose money. And the spice routes? Captain Rodriguez has cut the Vorthans' profits by 30%. Their customers are switching to human traders. Parker smiled. Excellent. And the energy business? The hegemony is having trouble. Their fusion technology is becoming old-fashioned. Human machines are better in every way. Parker stood up and walked to the window. He could see Earth below, blue and green and beautiful. For too long, humans had been hiding their real abilities. They had let the aliens think they were primitive and weak, but the aliens had made a mistake. They had insulted humanity in public. They had laughed at human ways and called them backward. They had kept Earth out of important trade deals. They were paying the price. The truth was that humans had been studying alien technology for years. They had learned from it and made it better. Human scientists had taken alien ideas and improved them, made them faster, cheaper, more useful. The suit that Jake Harrison wore was not just cloth. It was made from advanced fake fibers that were stronger than most alien armor. The simple look hid complex technology. Just like humanity itself. The aliens had seen what they expected to see. A primitive species that wore clothes because they were ashamed. They had not looked deeper. They had not asked questions. They had just assumed that humans were backward and weak. Now they were learning the truth. Humans were not primitive. They were not weak. They were competitors. Dangerous competitors. And they were just getting started. Parker picked up his phone and called Jake. How are things going with the alien complaints? Jake Harrison's voice came through clearly. The aliens are demanding answers. They want to know how we got such advanced technology so quickly. What are you telling them? The truth. That we always had this technology. We just chose not to show it off. Parker laughed. I bet they do not like that answer. They are starting to understand that their jokes were a mistake. The same species they called primitive is now beating them in their own markets. Good. Keep me informed. Parker ended the call and went back to his reports. The plan was working perfectly. The aliens had thought they were putting humans in their place. Instead, they had given humanity the excuse it needed to show its real abilities. The galaxy was about to learn that making fun of humans came with consequences. Big consequences. 2 months after the summit, the galaxy's money system was falling apart. Commander Alan Brooks watched from his asteroid mining ship as another Zephyrian vessel flew away, damaged and empty. The alien ship had tried to compete with human mining work and failed badly. Alan's ship was called the Rock Breaker. It did not look special. Just a simple human design with basic mining tools. But like everything else about human technology, looks were lying. The asteroid field around them was supposed to be impossible to mine. The rocks moved too fast. The gravity was too strong. The radiation was too dangerous. For hundreds of years, the Zephyrians had said it was too risky to work there, but Alan's crew made it look easy. They had been mining the field for 6 weeks. They had already pulled out more crystals than the Zephyrians got in a whole year. And they did it safely. Another Zephyrian ship is asking to enter the field, said his mining boss, Kate Murphy. Tell them what we told the others. Alan said, this is open space. They can mine here if they want. But they do it at their own risk. The Zephyrians always tried anyway. They were desperate. Human competition was destroying their crystal business. They needed to find new sources of crystals, or their whole economy would crash. But their ships were not built for hard mining work. They were made for easy jobs in safe areas. When they tried to work in the dangerous asteroid fields, bad things happened. Ships got broken. Equipment stopped working. Sometimes crew members got hurt. Meanwhile, human ships worked in the same areas without problems. The rock breaker moved through the asteroid field like it was built for this kind of work. Because it was, sir, said Kate. We are getting a call from the Zephyrian whole world. It is their trade minister. Alan smiled. Put him through. The image of Kexthul appeared on the bridge. He was the same alien who had made fun of Jake Harrison's suit at the summit. Now he looked worried and angry. Commander Brooks, Kexthul sighed, your work here is illegal. This asteroid field belongs to the Zephyrian Empire. Says who? Alan asked. Says galactic law. We have been mining this area for thousands of years. But you are not mining this particular field, Alan pointed. Out, you said it was too dangerous. You gave up on it. We did not give up. We were just waiting for better technology. Alan shrugged. Well, we have better technology now. If you want to mine here, you are welcome to try. Kexthul's face turned darker purple. This is money war. You are trying to destroy our crystal. Business on purpose. We are just mining asteroids, Alan said calmly. If that destroys your business, maybe your prices were too high. The truth was more complicated than that. Human mining ships were not just better designed. They were completely different. Where alien ships used brute force, human ships used precision. Where alien ships tried to overpower the asteroid field, human ships worked with it. The rock breaker had sensors that could track every piece of rock in the field. It had computers that could predict where each asteroid would be in the next hour. It had mining tools that could pull out crystals without breaking them. Most importantly, it had a crew that had been trained for this kind of work. Kate Murphy was a former military engineer. She had worked on dangerous building projects in Earth's asteroid belt. To her, this alien field was actually pretty easy. Meanwhile, in the Vorthin systems, Captain Amy Rodriguez was causing even bigger problems. The Vorthins controlled the spice trade by controlling the dangerous routes between star systems. They charged high prices because the routes were risky, but Amy's ship, the Star Runner, made those routes look safe. She flew through gravity storms that would tear apart most ships. She traveled through radiation fields that would kill most. Crews. The secret was that human ships were built differently. They were more flexible. They could adapt to changing conditions. Alien ships were designed to be strong and tough. Human ships were designed to be smart and adaptable. Amy stood on her bridge as they got close to the Maelstrom route. This was the most dangerous spice route in the sector. Most ships took 3 weeks to travel it safely. Many ships never made it at all. Captain, said her navigator, Ryan Foster. We are getting close to the gravity well. The Vorthins say this area cannot be traveled. The Vorthins say a lot of things, Amy replied. What do our sensors say? Ryan checked his instruments. We are reading multiple gravity fields. They are changing every few minutes. It is like flying through a maze that keeps moving. Perfect. Amy said, that is exactly what we trained for. The Star Runner entered the gravity well. Instead of fighting the gravity fields, it rode them. Instead of trying to force its way through, it danced between the moving forces. Other ships tried to overpower the Maelstrom route. They used massive engines and heavy shields. They pushed through by brute force. That was why the trip took so long and why so many ships were lost. But Amy's ship was different. It was designed to flow with the forces around it. It bent when it needed to bend. It twisted when it needed to twist. It turned the dangerous route into a high-speed highway. Star Runner finished the Maelstrom route in 4 days. Not 3 weeks. 4 days. When Amy arrived at the Vorthin trading station, the aliens were shocked. This is not possible, said the station commander, Quinalex. No ship can travel the Maelstrom route so quickly. We just did, Amy said. Your ship should have been destroyed. The gravity forces should have torn you apart, Amy smiled. Maybe you have been doing it wrong. The news spread quickly through the Vorthan trade network. The humans could travel the dangerous routes safely and quickly. This meant they could charge lower prices and still make money. Soon, Vorthan customers were canceling their contracts. Why pay high prices for slow, dangerous delivery when humans could do it faster and cheaper? In the hegemony systems, the situation was even worse. The hegemony had built their whole economy around controlling energy supply. They had massive fusion reactors that powered whole planets, but humans were arriving with portable fusion machines. That made the hegemony's reactors look like old technology. A human generator the size of a small building could power a city. A human generator the size of a car could power a small town. The hegemony leaders were panicking. Their supreme commander, Zalfin, called an emergency meeting. How is this possible? He demanded. Our spy reports said humans were primitive. They wear clothes because they are ashamed of their bodies. Maybe our spies were wrong, suggested one of his advisors. Wrong? How could they be wrong? We saw them at the summit. They looked ridiculous, but the proof was clear. Human technology was not primitive. It was advanced. Very advanced. Back on Earth, Dr. Ben Taylor was studying the money data. He was Earth's top expert on galactic economics. He had studied alien trade patterns for years. Admiral Parker, he said over the phone, we have taken 30% of the crystal trade in just 2 months. The Zephyrian economy is starting to fall apart. Parker nodded. What about the other areas? The Vorthans have lost half their customers. Their spice routes are becoming unprofitable. And the hegemony is facing energy shortages because their own planets are switching to human generators. Excellent, Parker said. Any signs of military response? No, sir. They are too shocked to fight. They are still trying to figure out how we got so advanced so quickly. Parker smiled. The aliens had thought they were dealing with primitives. They had expected humans to be weak and backward. They had believed their own lies about human inferiority. Now they were learning the truth. Humans were not primitive. They were not weak. They were competitors. Dangerous competitors. The suit that Jake Harrison wore was not just clothing. It was a symbol of human intelligence. Humans understood that sometimes the best disguise is to look exactly like what your enemies expect to see. The aliens had seen a primitive species that wore clothes. They had not looked deeper. They had not asked questions. They had just assumed that humans were backward and weak. Now they were paying the price for their assumptions. The galaxy was learning that making fun of humans came with consequences. Money consequences. The same species that had been mocked for wearing dead plant. Matter was now controlling galactic trade, and this was only the beginning. 6 months after the summit, the Zephyrian homeworld was in crisis. General Kate Murphy stood on the bridge of the help ship Hope's Light as it got close to the planet. Below them, the great crystal cities that had sparkled for thousands of years were now dark and empty. It is worse than we thought, said her medical officer, Dr. Laura Mitchell. The reports from the surface say that millions of Zephyrians are out of work. Their whole economy was based on crystal mining and trade. Kate nodded sadly. And now, human technology has made their crystals almost worthless. It was not something humans had wanted to happen. The plan had been to compete with alien trade, not to destroy whole civilizations. But the aliens had built their economies on monopolies and high prices. When humans offered better products at lower prices, the alien systems fell apart. General, said the communications officer, we are getting a call from the planet. It is Ambassador Kex Thul. Kate remembered that name. Kex Thul was the alien who had made fun of Jake Harrison's suit at the summit. He had called humans primitive and backward. He had suggested that Earth should be kept away from civilized space. Put him through, Kate ordered. The image of Kex Thul appeared on the bridge. He looked very different from the proud, arrogant alien at the summit. His purple skin was pale. His 4 arms hung weakly at his sides. He looked defeated. "General Murphy," he said quietly. I wanted to thank you for the help." Kate was surprised. "You are welcome, Ambassador. We are here to help." "I do not understand," Kexthul said. "We insulted your species. We made fun of your diplomat. We kept Earth out of trade agreements. Why are you helping us?" Kate thought about that for a moment. "Because it is the right thing to do. We did not want to destroy your civilization. We just wanted to compete fairly." "Compete fairly?" Kexthul's voice was bitter. "You destroyed our economy in 6 months. How is that fair?" "Your economy was built on overpricing bad products," Kate said gently. "When customers had a choice, they chose better products at lower prices. That is how fair competition works." Kexthul was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke again. "We were wrong about humans. We thought you were primitive because you wear clothes. We thought you were weak because you looked different from us." "Yes," Kate said. "You were wrong. Your technology is far more advanced than ours. Your ships are faster. Your equipment is better. Your energy systems work better. How did we not know this?" Kate smiled. "Because we did not want you to know. We let you think we were primitive. It was easier that way." "Easier? Why?" "Because when people think you are weak, they underestimate you. They make mistakes. They show you their own weaknesses." Kexthul understood. "You studied us. You learned our trade routes, our technology, our money systems. And we never suspected because we thought you were too backward to be a threat." "That is right," Kate said. "The suit that your people made fun of? It is made from fake fibers that are stronger than most armor. The simple look hid advanced technology. Like your whole civilization," Kexthul said quietly. Meanwhile, on the neutral world of Nexus Prime, Jake Harrison was getting ready for another diplomatic meeting. But this time, things were very different. The same meeting hall where he had been mocked 6 months ago was now filled with desperate alien diplomats. Jake wore the same black suit, the same white shirt, the same black tie. But now, instead of laughing at his clothes, the aliens looked at him with fear and respect. The Vorthan ambassador, Quinder, came up to Jake's table. The giant spider creature that had once made fun of human clothing obsession now looked nervous and scared. "Ambassador Harrison," Quinder said carefully, "my government would like to discuss trade agreements with Earth." Jake looked up from his notes. "Trade agreements? I thought humans were too primitive for galactic trade." Quinder's 8 legs moved uncomfortably. We were mistaken. We now understand that human technology is very advanced." "What changed your mind?" Jake asked. "Your trade ships," Quinder admitted. "They can travel routes that we thought were impossible. They can deliver goods faster and cheaper than we can. Our customers are switching to human traders." Jake nodded. "I see. And what kind of trade agreement did you have in mind?" "We would like to buy exclusive rights to human shipping technology." "We will pay any price." Jake smiled. "I am sorry, but that technology is not for sale." "Then maybe we could arrange a joint business. We could share our knowledge of spice production in exchange for access to human shipping methods." "That is an interesting idea," Jake said. "But I will need to discuss it with my government." Similar conversations were happening all over the galaxy. The hegemony was begging for human fusion technology. The Zephyrians wanted to learn human mining techniques. Dozens of smaller species were asking for trade, partnerships. The aliens who had once mocked humans were now desperate to work with them. Commander Ryan Foster stood in the command center on Earth, watching reports come in from across the galaxy. The screens showed trade data, economic statistics, and diplomatic messages. "Sir," said his aide, Lieutenant Colonel Brad Wilson, "we are getting requests for trade agreements from 47 different species. They are all offering very good terms. Ryan smiled. How good? The Zephyrians are offering to give us exclusive mining rights to 12 star systems. The Vorthans want to make us their primary shipping partner. The Hegemony is begging us to help them upgrade their energy systems. And 6 months ago, they would not let us into their trade meetings, Ryan said. The irony is perfect, Brad agreed. They thought we were too primitive to be worth their time. Now they are desperate for our help. The truth was, the humans had been preparing for this moment for years. Ever since first contact with alien species, human scientists had been studying alien technology. They had learned from it, improved upon it, and then hidden their advances. The plan had always been to enter galactic trade slowly, show some advanced technology here and there, build partnerships gradually. But the aliens had forced humanity's hand by insulting them publicly. Now, instead of a slow introduction, the galaxy was getting a full demonstration of human abilities. The species that had been dismissed as primitive was now the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Dr. Ben Taylor was studying the economic data when he made a shocking discovery. "Admiral Parker," he said urgently, "we need to talk." Parker looked up from his reports. "What is it, Doctor?" "I have been studying the galactic trade data. Our economic warfare has been more effective than we planned." "How so?" "We have captured 60% of the crystal trade, 70% of the spice routes, and 80% of the energy distribution market. The alien economies are falling apart faster than we expected." Parker frowned. "That is a problem. We wanted to compete with them, not destroy them." "It gets worse," Taylor continued. 3 alien civilizations are facing complete economic collapse. Millions of aliens are losing their jobs. Some planets are experiencing food shortages. "We need to help them," Parker said immediately. "I agree. But there is another problem. The aliens are starting to realize that we have been hiding our true abilities for years. They are beginning to understand that we deliberately let them think we were primitive." Parker was quiet for a moment. "How are they reacting to that?" "Some are angry. They feel betrayed, but most are just scared. They are realizing that if humans have been hiding advanced technology, what else might we be hiding?" "What else indeed?" Parker said quietly. The galaxy was learning that insulting humans had consequences. But humanity was also learning that their revenge had been more effective than they had planned. The challenge now was to find a way to help the aliens they had defeated while keeping their new position as the dominant galactic power. Jake Harrison's simple black suit had become a symbol of human intelligence and hidden strength. But it was also becoming a symbol of the danger of making assumptions about other species. The aliens had learned that lesson the hard way. Now it was time for humans to learn a lesson of their own. With great power comes great responsibility. 1 year after the diplomatic incident, the galaxy was a very different place. President Helen Carter stood at the speaker's platform in the new Galactic Council building on Earth. The building was made of human-designed materials that were stronger. An alien metal that looked like simple glass and steel. Below her, representatives from hundreds of species sat in carefully arranged seats. But unlike the old council where humans had been given a small section in the back, Earth now occupied the central position. The other species formed rings around the human delegation. "The new galactic trade protocols are now in effect," President Carter announced. "These protocols are designed to ensure fair competition and prevent economic warfare between species." The alien representatives listened carefully. Many of them wore clothing similar to human business suits. The simple black suit that had once been mocked was now seen as a symbol of sophistication and intelligence. Jake Harrison sat in the front row, still wearing his black suit. The same suit that had caused so much laughter a year ago. Now alien diplomats studied his clothing carefully, trying to understand the hidden meaning behind every detail. The human-led trade groups will provide economic support to any species affected by the recent market changes, President Carter continued. We believe in cooperation, not domination. In the Zephyrian section, Ambassador Kexthil raised one of his forearms. President Carter nodded to him. President Carter, Kexthil, sighed. My people are grateful for the help Earth has provided. But we must ask, why are you helping us? We insulted your species. We kept you out of trade agreements. We called you primitive. President Carter smiled. Because that is what civilized species do, Ambassador. We help each other. The irony was not lost on anyone in the room. The primitive humans were teaching the advanced aliens about civilization. Dr. Laura Michaud, now Earth's chief alien culture advisor, stood up to address the council. We have established new protocols to prevent cultural misunderstandings. From now on, no species will be kept out of trade agreements based on their appearance or customs. There were murmurs of agreement throughout the hall. The aliens had learned their lesson about judging others by their looks. In the year since the economic warfare began, the galaxy had been transformed. The old system of monopolies and high prices was gone. In its place was a competitive market, where the best products and services won, regardless of which species made them. Human trade ships now traveled every major route in the galaxy. The Rockbreaker and ships, like it had opened asteroid fields that aliens thought were impossible to mine. The Star Runner and similar vessels had turned dangerous trade routes into safe highways. But humans had also learned important lessons. Commander Alan Brooks now worked with alien mining crews, teaching them human techniques while learning alien methods. Captain Amy Rodriguez had established mixed-species crews on her ships, combining human adaptability with alien knowledge. Economic destruction had been severe, but it had also created opportunities. Millions of aliens had lost jobs in old industries, but millions more had found work in the new human-led enterprises. Captain Lisa Martinez stood up to give her report. The joint mining operations in the former Zephyrian territories are exceeding production targets. Human-alien crews are 30% more efficient than either species working alone. This was the new model. Instead of replacing alien workers, humans were partnering with them. Instead of destroying alien industries, they were transforming them. President Carter looked around the room. The galaxy has learned that cooperation is more profitable than competition. That diversity is a strength, not a weakness. That judging others by their appearance is not just wrong, it is dangerous. In the back of the room, young alien diplomats took notes. They were learning a new way of conducting galactic affairs, a way based on respect rather than fear, cooperation rather than domination. The Vorthan ambassador, Quinder, spoke up. President Carter, my government would like to propose a joint exploration mission to the Outer Rim. Human navigation skills, combined with Vorthan knowledge of that region, could open new trade routes. An excellent proposal, President Carter replied. We will discuss the details after this session. This was happening all over the galaxy. Species that had never worked together were forming partnerships. Technologies that had been closely guarded secrets were now being shared. The economic warfare had destroyed the old system of isolation and mistrust. Admiral Chris Parker watched from the observation deck above the council chamber. Beside him stood Jake Harrison, still in his simple black suit. Do you ever regret it? Parker asked. The way we handled the insults? Jake thought about that question. Sometimes I wonder if we could have done it differently. Maybe revealed our abilities gradually instead of all at once. But would the aliens have respected us? Parker asked. Would they have taken us seriously if we had not shown them the consequences of their prejudice? Probably not, Jake admitted. They needed to learn that insulting other species comes with a price. And now they have learned, Parker said. The question is, what do we do with the power we have gained? Below them, President Carter was announcing new initiatives, joint research projects, cultural exchange programs, educational partnerships. The humans were using their dominant position to build bridges, not walls. Dr. Ben Taylor approached them with his latest economic report. Admiral, the galactic economy has stabilized. The new trade protocols are working. Unemployment is down across all species. What about resentment? Parker asked. Are the aliens angry about what we did to them? Some are, Taylor admitted. But most are grateful. They realized that the old system was unfair and unsustainable. The monopolies were hurting smaller species, just as much as they hurt us. Parker nodded. And they understand why we hid our abilities? They are beginning to. They realized that if they had known how advanced we were, they might have seen us as a threat instead of partners. This was the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the best way to introduce yourself to a hostile galaxy is to let others underestimate you. Let them make assumptions. Let them reveal their own prejudices and weaknesses. Then, when the time is right, show them who you really are. The session continued for several more hours. Trade agreements were signed. Research partnerships were established. Cultural exchanges were planned. As the alien delegates filed out of the chamber, many of them stopped to shake hands with the human representatives. The same species that had mocked human customs a year ago were now adopting those customs themselves. Jake Harrison stood at the exit, greeting each delegate personally. When Kexthel approached, the Zephyrian ambassador paused. Ambassador Harrison, Kexthel said quietly, I owe you an apology. When I saw you in that suit a year ago, I thought you looked ridiculous. I thought humans were primitive and backward. And now? Jake asked. Now I understand that the suit was not just clothing. It was a symbol of human intelligence. You think you were primitive while you studied our weaknesses. You turned our mockery into your advantage. Jake smiled. Sometimes the best disguise is to look exactly like what your enemies expect to see. Kexthal nodded slowly. A lesson my species will not forget. As the last delegate left, Jake straightened his tie and picked up his briefcase. The same briefcase that had held his notes during that first humiliating summit. The same briefcase. That now contained trade agreements worth trillions of credits. President Carter joined him at the exit. Another successful day of diplomacy, she said. Indeed, Jake replied, though I sometimes miss the days when galactic politics were simpler. Simpler? Carter laughed. You mean when aliens could insult us without consequences? No, Jake said, thoughtfully. I mean when we could let them underestimate us. Now they know what we are capable of. We cannot use that advantage again. Perhaps that is for the best, Carter said. The galaxy is better when species work together instead of trying to trick each other. They walked out of the building together into the Earth afternoon. Above them, alien ships arrived and departed from the orbital stations. The same species that had once mocked human primitive technology now relied on human engineering to keep their ships running. The black suit that Jake wore had become more than just clothing. It had become a symbol of human cunning and determination. It represented the idea that strength often comes disguised as weakness, that intelligence can hide behind simplicity. Young human diplomats across the galaxy now wore similar suits, not because they were required to, but because they understood the power of managing expectations. Let others think you are weak, and they will reveal their own weaknesses. The aliens had learned that lesson the hard way. They had insulted a human wearing a suit, thinking he represented a primitive species. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant that reshaped the entire galactic economy. The suit remained simple. Black jacket, white shirt, black tie. Nothing fancy or complex. But everyone who saw it now understood its true meaning. It was a reminder that appearances can be deceiving. That judging others by their looks is not just wrong, but dangerous. That the quiet person in simple clothes might be the most dangerous person in the room. The galaxy had learned to respect the human in the suit, and that respect had led to cooperation, prosperity, and peace. The Insel